Each week on Culinary Confidential, Christina Cates, a seasoned foodie who has worked at some of New York City's top restaurants, will share her passion for the culinary world. Whether you're a professional chef, a restaurant enthusiast, or a lover of good food, Christina dives into the heart of hospitality, exploring the trends, triumphs, and challenges facing the food service profession. And you won't want to miss her chats with some of the most interesting and influential industry voices. And now, please take your seat at the table as Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates starts now, exclusively on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome to Culinary Confidential and Happy New Year. I hope everyone had the chance to cherish moments, relax, and enjoy themselves over the last few weeks. I know I sure did. But the holiday season isn't just about festive family gatherings and seasonal treats. It's also known as engagement season. Across the country, couples choose this time of year to pop the question, taking advantage of the magic of the holidays, the warmth of loved ones, and the cozy celebratory atmosphere. From surprise proposals under the Christmas tree to romantic New Year's Eve engagements, this period has become one of the most popular times to start a lifetime together. For those tuning in, tonight's episode is one that blends celebration, creativity, and a touch of sparkle, because we are diving into a topic that so many of us love, and that's weddings. Weddings have always been a reflection of who we are, our tastes, our traditions, the way we gather, and the way we express love. But as we look ahead to 2026, the wedding world is in the midst of a major evolution. Couples are redefining what it means to host a wedding that feels personal, meaningful, and unforgettable. Food has become an art form, fashion has taken center stage, and even the smallest details, from rings to desserts to the venue vibe, are getting reimagined for the modern couple. Tonight, we are joined by three incredible guests who each bring a unique lens to the world of celebration. First up is Levy, and he's the founder of Butter and Vine, a standout Chicago-based catering and events company known for creating memorable, high-quality food experiences. He launched the business in 2020, just weeks before the world shut down, and still managed to grow it into one of the area's go-to teams for weddings, corporate events, and celebrations of all sizes. Rich is all about working closely with couples to bring their vision to life, crafting personalized menus, elevating classic dishes, and making sure the food becomes one of the most talked about parts of the wedding day. Next, joining us is Michelle Luchese, co-founder of Manly Bands, the powerhouse brand that reinvented the men's wedding ring market. Michelle and her husband turned a frustrating shopping experience into one of the most successful direct-to-consumer jewelry companies of the last decade, offering everything from meteorite and tungsten to guitar string inlaid bands and rare woods. She's here to talk about how personalization isn't just a food trend. It's happening in fashion and accessories too. In 2026, couples are choosing rings that reflect personality, craft, and story, not just tradition. And later in the hour, I'm thrilled to welcome Arlene Murray, owner and designer of the beloved Polka Dot Cake Shop, known for some of the most imaginative, whimsical, and beautifully executed wedding cakes on the East Coast. Arlene is an artist in every sense of the word, whether she's sculpting sugar flowers, creating hand-painted tears, or designing entirely new cake silhouettes for the next generation of couples. Cakes are no longer just dessert. They're a statement piece, a moment, a memory. And Arlene is at the forefront of what wedding desserts are evolving into for 2026 and beyond. Now, we got to talk numbers. The average cost of a wedding in the U.S. now ranges from $33,000 to $36,000, according to recent data from industry sources such as Zola and The Knot, reflecting a steady rise from about $29,000 in 2023. Spending varies widely by location, with states like New Jersey, New York, and Rhode Island averaging between $45,000 and $54,000, which actually seems low to me, honestly. While lower-cost states such as Idaho and Wyoming often average under $20,000. A typical cost breakdown shows couples spending around $2,100 on a wedding dress, $540 on a cake, $1,700 for a DJ, $4,500 for a live band, and roughly $80 per person for catering, with alcohol averaging about $2,800. Trends indicate that about 44% of couples spend between $20,000 and $33,000, and budgets are shifting toward more personalized experiences, from customized menus to unique desserts, as micro-weddings and intimate celebrations continue to influence the way couples allocate their wedding dollars heading into the year. Throughout tonight's show, we're going to explore the biggest wedding trends for the year, from the rise of hyper-personalized culinary experiences and mixed culture menus to sustainable planning, to bold color palettes, late-night food rituals, micro-receptions, statement rings, and, of course, the artistry of the modern wedding cake. Whether you're planning a wedding, attending one, or simply love the magic and meaning behind these celebrations, tonight's conversations will give you a fresh look at where the wedding world is heading. This is Culinary Confidential, and the celebration starts now. Rich Levy, welcome to the show. We have a lot to cover tonight, so let's dive right in, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. What's the most common mistake couples make when choosing a wedding caterer? And how can hiring a company like yourself at Butter and Vine help them avoid it?
It's a great question. Probably my biggest pitfall I see is couples trying to DIY everything.
Oh, DIY, do it yourself. Everyone has a Pinterest board these days.
Exactly. Well, they should have a Pinterest board. That's a good starting point. You should have an idea of what you want. But then if you try and, cut corners, and then I can always tell the couples who try and tell me, well, we're looking for a very relaxed atmosphere at our wedding, so we don't want a cocktail hour and we don't want dessert. And I immediately see right through that. It means they're trying to save money, but they've rented a very fancy venue, which I know is going to cost them an arm and a leg, but now they're out of money for the actual food. So it's like buying a fancy car and not having enough money to put gas in it.
Oh, that's a great point. Yes. You're in Chicago. You're in the Midwest. I'm on the East Coast. Specifically North Jersey. We do weddings very, very big there. How does it differ, do you think, across the country?
Terrific question. I've heard about these Jersey weddings. I'd like to one day come out there and check it out. Maybe you got to invite me. But,
well, if I ever decide to get married again, Rich, you'll be my wedding planner, okay?
Exactly. Well, cater at least.
Yeah.
How they do? I don't know how they differ across the country. I know what we do in Chicago, but I know very little about other regions.
Okay, but wedding planning can be stressful. How does your team, from the initial tasting to the final cleanup, make the entire catering process seamless and stress-free for the couple so that they can enjoy their day?
So firstly, you need a great team, and as long as you have a great team that can execute, you're in good hands. And how do you know you have a great team? Read the reviews. Talk to former clients. Ask your caterer to refer you to some of their former clients, specifically clients that they've worked with at your venue. That'll give you a good sense of whether or not they can make your day stress-free. And if they made the day stress-free for others, there's a good chance they'll do it for you as well.
Okay, what were the most dominant wedding food trends of the last 5 to 10 years? Was there anything like dietary, like a shift in dietary needs for people planning weddings?
Well, gluten-free is the big, gluten-free is the new low-carb.
Right.
So there's everybody wants gluten-free and all kinds of what we call sad R's. Nobody else calls them that, we do. But that's specials and dietary restrictions. So what I always tell clients is that you don't even know who's coming to your wedding yet. You don't know who's going to RSVP, but I can guarantee you there's going to be a whole bunch of sad R's, and all we need to know is who's sitting where and what they're allergic to, and we'll take good care of them.
Oh, right. You know what? That's funny. I didn't even think about that. That's a huge component these days is people that have allergies. Everyone has some kind of life-threatening allergy with food, it seems, these days.
Yeah. Allergies are all the rage these days.
Oh.
Unintended.
Have you seen a shift in how couples allocate their budget between the main meal and other culinary experiences, right? Like elaborate cocktail hours or even late night snacks are now a trend.
They'll generally have something for everybody. So you're going to have a typical wedding is going to have a cocktail hour, then it's going to have either a course dinner or a buffet station dinner. And then everybody loves a good, drunk food course or late night snack.
Yeah, sliders, chicken wings, some kind of late night bite. All right, so what are you seeing, though, as the trend right now for people planning weddings when it comes to the food?
Smoked old fashions.
Yeah, the cocktail proponent. Smoked old fashions are very hot right now.
Yes, they are. We make these fancy, we use large rocks, So, small ice is so last century. It's all about the large rocks.
The king cube.
Either, exactly. 2x2s or spheres, and then we'll smoke them with a like a little blowtorch.
Wow.
And some wood chips. And that really is, it gives the drink some flavor, and it really creates a bit of a show at the bar.
I love that. All right, based on recent bookings and inquiries, what do you see as the major emerging food and catering trends for 2026 weddings? Because, the holiday season just happened. A ton of people just got engaged. What are people looking for this year?
Chicago's a meat and potatoes town, so, you don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel, but we're always looking to be on the cutting edge of food. So I look to, as a caterer myself, I will look to what's happening on, the culinary world. I watch some chef shows, which I'm happy to admit, and, I kind of pick up ideas. I'll also go out to dinner and see what, Chicago's an amazing restaurant town, and you can get some incredible ideas from local chefs, and you can put your own twist on it. And, of course, we, as a caterer, as an off-premise caterer, you don't get to make everything fresh on site. So you have to adjust the dish. So, if you come up with an idea that might be like a crispy sushi, for example, or sushi on a crispy rice bed, you've got to be able to make sure that dish can travel well and that you can produce 100 to 200 small pieces of it for cocktail hour and still, maintain its integrity.
Are there any specific culinary experiences that you predict will take off, such as interactive food stations or unique dessert displays beyond the traditional wedding style and, cake situation?
Yes. Charcuterie dessert station. 3 words.
Ooh.
Picture a chocolate fountain. This is something we're working on in the lab. A chocolate fountain. Imagine a charcuterie station, but no meat and cheese. It's all dessert. And it all is built around a flowing chocolate fountain. We call it the Willy Wonka charcuterie station.
Well, I think that sounds fantastic. You had me, though, at charcuterie because I was like, okay, the French do like to have a cheese course at the end of a meal. And it's not something I see at weddings a whole lot. Maybe that could be a thing.
No, charcuterie is very big at weddings, but for meats and cheeses at the start of the night.
Right.
I want to do sweet tables that are like charcuterie, as beautiful as our charcuterie tables.
Like an interactive
all built around the flowing
sweet
chocolate
station.
Fountain.
That sounds lovely.
Every bride wants something that's never been done before.
Of course, they want to feel special on their day.
And the more Instagrammable and TikTokable, the better.
Okay, so to your point, how do you think social media, the Instagrams, TikToks, even Facebook, is influencing couples' food choices and presentation expectations?
Lord, it's influencing everything. I mean, it's
taking over.
Sport, politics, of course, it's permeated into the culinary world, and definitely it has a place in the wedding space.
Okay, is there anything else you want to tell us about weddings before we go to our commercial break?
Call me if you need it. If you're getting married, call me.
All right. That's Rich Levy. Check him out at butterandvine.com. He is an event caterer extraordinaire. Rich, thanks for your time tonight. Happy New Year, by the way.
You're welcome. Happy New Year to you, too.
Okay, let's take a break. When we get back, I'll be joined by Michelle Luchese of Manly Bands, and she's going to tell us what's trending in the men's wedding ring circuit. Stay tuned. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970 The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970. The Answer.
Welcome back to the show. We are diving deep tonight into one of the most exciting and evolving industries, and that's weddings. The engagement season is in full swing, and countless couples are beginning the exhilarating, sometimes daunting, journey of planning their perfect day. But what makes a wedding truly now? How do you balance timeless elegance with trendy, personalized touches? Well, we have all of the answers for you tonight. Joining the show now is Michelle Luchese of Manly Bands, a men's-focused wedding ring line made to stand out, stand up, and tell your story. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Christina.
Okay, this is great. I've never had someone on the show that didn't have a food product, so we're moving into wedding rings. This is going to be fun for me because I love jewelry. So,
awesome.
I know you had a story, you and your husband, John, about why you started Manly Bands. It was a frustrating experience with limited options. Can you share that story before we kick off this segment?
Yeah. So we have a crazy story. So John and I got married in 2016. We were both in the entertainment industry in LA and just, kind of trying to find our way as one does in LA as a young filmmaker and actor, as we were. And we just decided to take a little bit of a break from the industry. We're like, this is crazy. Let's just take a break. And John had some businesses on the side doing Facebook marketing for people and Google marketing. And so he had kind of dabbled into Shopify and just, on the back burner kind of was like, it'd be fun to start a business at some point. So as we moved away from LA, we decided to move to Florida, which is where we were getting married. My parents lived there. And so it just kind of all worked out. And we were like, we gotta get jobs,
Yep.
Now we're married and that's fabulous, but now we gotta actually pay for things. So we're like, maybe we should just, solve a problem that we've had. And John was in a pool this day that he was thinking about this. And it was almost like he just had this big epiphany. He was like, yeah, there has to be like a better place for men to get rings. Like it could be called like Manly Bands.
Well, John's a genius.
Oh, he is a genius. Yeah. The two of us just kind of stopped and like had a moment with the chills, which was so fun. But it really came from his experience in trying to find a ring. He really had a terrible experience. For women, you walk into the store and they're rolling out the red carpet and, can I get you champagne and all the things. And for men, it is absolutely the opposite. It's an afterthought. It's awful. And so, John experienced that for himself. And then he also has large hands. So when we went into the jeweler, they'd look at his hands and they wouldn't be able to size him. And then, they would say something like, here, look at this catalog I have of like very boring white gold rings. And maybe we could size something for you, maybe somehow. And they wanted to help him, but they were also bored by this whole thing. They didn't have any reverence at all. And so that was the whole impetus for Manly Bands. Let's bring reverence to the men's ring industry. Let's bring the guy into the virtual store and let him shop without his pants on and let him have
love
fun,
it. Yes. All right. Manly Bands is known for using unique materials like dinosaur bone, meteorite, whiskey barrels, guitar strings. Why do you think men are moving away from traditional gold or platinum bands in favor of these alternative materials?
Yeah, so around 2016, and I like to believe that Manly Band started this, we started to say to guys, hey, you now have permission to get a ring that speaks to you and your personality and the things that you like. You don't have to just get a boring white gold band or yellow gold band. Let's give you some pizzazz. And so I think us and other companies that came up around us around the same time, we're all saying the same thing, like, hey, get something cool. Let me show you the options that we can make. And so we as Manly Bands just constantly try to innovate and, put the strangest stuff into a ring. One of our favorite lines is our military heritage line where we put little pieces of history into a ring. And so, you might find like our Thompson ring has USS New Jersey plank in it, or we have the M1 Garand that has Garand rifle stock in it. So yeah, we try to get as specific to that guy as possible, even giving the ring a name that's specific to that thing as well.
I think that's so fun, Michelle. This is such a great idea. Now, if we can talk about trends a little bit, based on your sales data, customer feedback, what are the most popular styles and materials right now? And are black rings still a major trend?
Yeah, so black rings are still a major trend for sure. Gold has come back big time this whole last year. So you see a lot of guys wanting the gold ring without the gold price tag. And so one of the ways that we cater to that is by tungsten rings that have gold plating on them. And so, it's a less expensive ring, but still has that gold look to it.
What major trends do you predict for this year? Because we are, just in the beginning of 2026. People just got engaged. Right. We're hearing about geometric designs, mixed metals, even black diamonds. Are these leading the charge?
Yeah, I think black diamonds are always super fun for men. We have a line of rings with a company called Elysium, and they're made purely out of black diamond. So you get this matte finish and a really durable ring that is entirely scratch resistant. It's like the only material we've been able to come across that's entirely scratch resistant. But it doesn't have that blingy, diamond quality of a black diamond. And so we found that to be way more popular with our guys than, the traditional black diamond.
So in the past, wedding bands often matched the engagement ring, right? Do you find that modern couples still aim for matching or complementary rings, or is individuality the key?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the couple. A lot of couples will start with the conversation of, okay, she has a rose gold band, so he wants something that has rose gold in it. One of the ways that we cater to things like that on the manly band side is we will do, it's called the sleeves, like the inside of the ring will have different hits of color. And so we have a ring that I love called the Instigator that is a tungsten band on the outside and is rose gold on the inside. So it matches perfectly with her ring. And so there is definitely that trend, but there's a little bit of a, how do I do that trend but be myself? And so, you see different trends emerge because of that.
Right, so what kind of ring is John wearing these days?
John's been wearing our Viking ring lately. It's one of his favorites. It has a shreds of a Viking knife, like a genuine Viking knife in it. And we have a whole Viking line that's really fun and specific to our company.
That sounds so manly.
Yeah,
all right, what's the one piece of advice you have for a groom-to-be who's overwhelmed by the choices and just wants a ring he can be excited about?
Oh, I love that. I would say the first place to start is to think about how you use your hands in the world. Are you a person who is, using your hands for work, like are you in construction or something like that? To which I would say your ring can be anything you want it to be because it's probably more of a date night ring than an everyday ring versus your guy who's working at an office. I really love our CEO ring for guys who are kind of climbing this ladder, the corporate ladder, and it's this inspirational ring for them, I hope. At least that's what I hope in my little world, that they're looking at that going, yeah, I am going to be the CEO someday.
So we're in January, right? We have the next big holiday is Valentine's Day, February 14th, and that's approaching quickly. Can you offer a few recommendations for anyone looking to get engaged then, like how to choose an engagement ring style, the sizing, anything else?
Yeah. So the first place I would say to start on trying to figure out what she might want, like let's say you're completely starting from scratch, you've never had the conversation around what she wants. My first piece of advice is always look at her jewelry. Please look at her jewelry because you want to understand the style that she likes. So if you see something, if you see a bunch of items in her collection that are very like clean lines, I'd say she has that modern aesthetic and she wants something that's very clean. And so you'd want to go with a solitaire setting, which is just one stone, in the setting. And then if you see more like ornate stuff, like lots of design within the jewelry, lots of filigree patterns and such, then you want to go with more of a romantic vibe and you want to ask your jeweler about filigree and options that look romantic. And then, if everything is super unique, she's got weird zany stones and stuff, then go with a weird zany stone. They're so popular these days, like a salt and pepper diamond or a blue diamond. I love playing with those stones. They're just so unique and different,
Well, you know what I wanted to ask you? I forgot to ask you earlier. What do you think about the lab-grown diamond trend, we'll call it right now, even though it's like a real thing that's here to stay?
It's definitely here to stay. I love lab-grown diamonds for various reasons, mostly because it is the exact same thing. It's just made in a lab. The price point is solid. I've been able to make some beautiful rings this year just for friends with massive diamonds, because of the lab-grown price. And so they're coming in saying, hey, I've got a budget of X. What can you do with this? Thinking it's a really tiny budget. And I can do so much with that now with lab diamonds. So I'm a big fan. The natural diamonds are really for someone who is more thinking like down the line, I want an estate ring. I want something that grows, over the years. I want it to be an heirloom in my family. That's where you're purchasing a natural diamond, but you're going to get so much less for your money. So If you want her to be wearing something with a lot of bling, there's no reason not to go with a lab diamond.
Okay, Michelle Luchese of Manly Bands. That was fantastic. Check out more at manlybands.com. Thank you for your time tonight, Michelle, and good luck, and I wish you continued success.
Thanks so much.
Don't go anywhere. After the break, we're going to talk wedding cakes with the best in the biz, Arlene Murray of Polka Dot Cake Shop. Stay tuned. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970 The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970 The Answer.
Welcome back to the show. Before the break, we were talking all things wedding trends for 2026. Now it's time to dig into the sweetest part of any celebration, the cake. Joining now is an expert who can walk us through the artistry and the flavor profiles that are making waves in the industry. Please give a warm welcome to Arlene Murray from the renowned Polka Dot Cake Shop. I'm excited to hear about the delicious trends you're seeing in the bakery and the industry right now. Arlene, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I feel like I need to be honest with people and tell everyone that all of my cakes for every celebration come from your bakery. It's the best.
Love to work with you.
I love Polka Dot Cake Shop. And I know you have your finger on the pulse. You know the trends and what to expect. So let's talk about some past trends, what you've seen over the last 5 or 10 years. What was the single most popular wedding cake trend you encountered, and what made it so appealing to couples? Is it like naked cakes?
So when I first really got into cakes, 13, 14 years ago, it was fondant. Everything was dripping in fondant. You wanted the biggest over-the-top cake that had all the fondant details. It's funny because looking back at photos of cakes that we've made, I can tell exactly when it was from because it's just dripping in fondant. I know it was 10, 15 years ago.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Then it switched. It went from one extreme to the next. We had all the crazy fondant stuff, and then it moved into that super simple naked cake. It was very, very simple, just some fresh flowers. Those are still around. But that definitely, the fondant had its moment, and then, like I said, we moved right into the naked cakes. Buttercream kind of got left behind for a little while.
I love a buttercream cake, but when you're doing a wedding, sometimes you want the fondant cake because it's so aesthetically pleasing, even though, it doesn't taste good. Fondant is just that sugar paste.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful.
Yeah, there's definitely still, we do mostly buttercream now, but there are definitely still cake designs where a client will send a cake and be like, I hate fondant. But you sent me a design that can only be done in fondant.
Okay, so now I feel like I feel seen because I feel like every time I send you a picture for something, it's a fondant cake. Now I'm insecure.
And I love it. I love to still work on the fondant cakes and be, like I said, because we don't do a lot of it, I still really enjoy doing it. But, it definitely had its moment, and I feel like it's kind of, pushed to the back burner now.
Were there any trends from the past decade besides the fondant, such as specific shapes or colors or even flavors that became faux pas or completely disappeared?
I feel like red velvet had its like big moment, and it's definitely fallen aside. Kind of thankfully, I'm not a big red velvet fan.
Oh my God. I feel like such a loser right now talking to you, Arlene, because red velvet's my favorite, and I get my red velvet cake for my birthday from you every year.
Well,
I don't have my finger on the pulse.
My gripe with red velvet is that it's not chocolate and it's not vanilla.
Right. It's like,
so if I'm having
made up.
Yeah, it's like the middle ground. So if I'm having cake, I'm a chocolate person. So when I have a piece of cake, I want chocolate on chocolate on chocolate.
Yeah, I am with you with
that. For me,
that.
red velvet's just not it.
Well, the problem with my cake coming from you is you make the best cream cheese icing. And that seals the deal for me, red velvet wise. So
yes, you need the red velvet with the cream cheese then.
So good. Okay. How have couples' approaches to personalization evolved in recent years? Did you see a shift from traditional flavors to more unique options like pistachio or lavender?
We've gotten a lot of requests for lavender, but ultimately people, like our clients anyway, have not gone with stuff like that because a lot of the times when you have a wedding for 200 people and you get something that's so specific to your taste,
it's
like,
polarizing.
You're serving this to 200 people.
Yeah.
You know, and it stinks to say that because, like, it's your wedding and you want to do what you want to do, but, like, you really can't.
No, I get that. All right, so let's talk about some future predictions here because it is, the season. Based on current requests and industry insights, what do you predict will be the major wedding cake trends for 2026?
I think we're going to still see a lot of that vintage style buttercream piping. It got really popular toward the end of last year. We saw, I would honestly say, like 80% of the cakes that we have done this year have been the vintage style, whether it's the heart or the round, but all that like intricate buttercream piping, that really, really came back. And I really do think it's here to stay.
Wow. I guess I haven't been to a wedding really in a while to see some of these trends. But you know what I also see a lot is the dessert tables. Mm-hmm. Which you do a lot of that as well. Some of those intricate cake pops, Rice Krispie treat thing, everything dipped in chocolate. That seems to be having a moment still too.
We are so that's what we're doing a lot of right now is like the smaller vintage cake for the cutting and, like just the bridal party or, whatever they wind up serving it to. But a lot of times people will say, oh, we want to just do a cake for like the bridal party. And then we'll do the whole dessert table for everybody else. So they'll get cupcakes and cannolis and cake pops and all things like that. So, and I feel like at the end of a wedding, especially if you're drinking and dancing, like a lot of the times the cake pop and like the mini cupcakes are the way to go.
Right. It just like hits the spot, right? You get that 1-2 bite sweet treat and you keep moving and grooving on the dance floor.
Exactly.
All right. Flavor wise, are there any unique or unexpected combinations you anticipate will be very popular this year?
The pistachio had its moment. I feel like that's kind of died down also, thankfully. But we see a lot of like the classic flavors, honestly. We see a lot of cannoli cream is always really popular. Yeah, I mean, it's like, when you go to a wedding, like a cannoli cake is just like, that's it.
I mean, fair to say we're in North Jersey, so cannoli cream flavor, super popular.
Yes, definitely. And fresh fruit. Fresh fruit is always popular. The fresh strawberries. It's, I feel like
simple
2026
elegance.
it's getting back to that classic old school.
How do you think factors like sustainability or even social media are influencing the future direction of wedding cake design?
So, I mean, social media is in charge of everything.
Yeah, rules the world.
Everybody. Yeah, we get, 90% of the stuff that we get are, like, oh, I saw this was trending online, or, oh, here's this TikTok video. If you scroll to whatever minute, you could see the cake in the video. A lot of our inspiration comes from social media, whether it's clients sending it to us or like, they'll give us an idea and we're like, where the hell do you find this?
Right.
And then you start looking, you start Googling and looking online and social media is definitely it. So if social media says something is popular, it's definitely popular.
That's when it goes viral.
Yes,
What's the craziest wedding cake you ever did?
During COVID, actually, we did a wedding cake. So we had a couple, a wonderful couple. We still work with them with their kids' cakes and everything now. But they had a wedding planned for like 350 people, and then COVID hit, and then it was 2021 when they were supposed to be getting married. They still wanted this, crazy, crazy cake, and it was 6 tiers, I want to say, 6 tiers of cake, and there was a hole in the middle. And in the middle of the cake, it was dripping in sugar flowers, and in the middle of the cake was a gold crown. And they cut this cake with a giant sword. The bride sent me the photo, and it was unreal. It was crazy.
But that goes back to when you're talking about multi-layer tiers, kind of that vintage feel, because back in the day, that's how they used to do wedding cakes. If you look at pictures of wedding cakes in like the 70s and 80s, they were elaborate like that.
Yep, they were, the one thing I hope does not come back is those pillars that were like popular in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like every cake sat on its own little tray.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about understanding the pricing, because I think that's an important thing for people who are planning weddings. How is the cost of a wedding cake typically determined? Is it primarily by the slice, or do factors like design complexity and number of tiers play a bigger role?
It's kind of everything. So I'm sure everybody prices different. For us, it's based on, we have a base price. So, this size cake is going to be, and if it's a buttercream based cake, it's going to be XYZ, and if it winds up being, more tiers, if it's something that we have to stack on site. So I'm the one that stacks all the wedding cakes on site. If anything has to be built on site, it's me going there.
A lot of pressure.
So yes. So if we have to, and a lot of the times with like the really big cakes, it takes more than one of us. I can't carry, even if it's in pieces, I can't do it alone. And I'm 5'2" on a good day. So if it's something that, really needs to be stacked, like, I'm coming with a step stool and the whole nine. So, it's the complexity is definitely like the most driving force of it. Like, a fondant cake that's dripping in sugar flowers is going to be more expensive than, a buttercream cake with, fresh flowers from your florist.
And can you explain the difference in cost between different types of frosting, such as the buttercream and fondant? Is it because the fondant's like labor intensive, like you have to roll it out and it's difficult to work with?
It's not really, at this point, and we've been doing it for so long, it's not really difficult to work with. It's just an added step. So for a fondant cake, we're still going to finish it as if it was a buttercream cake first, and then the fondant is on top of that.
Right.
So that way, when you're eating the cake at the wedding, if you don't want to eat the fondant and you peel it off, you're still going to have a full slice of cake. You have the buttercream underneath it, and you have, the cake inside. So it's just an additional step. And over the past few years, I'll be honest, the price of fondant is astronomical.
Really?
Yeah, it's got, like everything else, don't even get me started on the cocoa powder problem.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, what are the hidden fees that couples often forget to budget for, whether it's setup or the cake stand rentals?
Yeah, I feel like it's honestly because you're thinking about the venue, you're thinking about the music, you're thinking about all that. The cake kind of a lot of the times gets pushed to the side, and then it's like, oh, my budget is, nothing. And you're like, well, okay, but you have 300 people.
Yeah,
so
then you get no cake.
Yeah, right. And I think that a lot of the times just the cake as a whole, especially when people are like, well, I'm not a cake person. But the guests are going to a wedding, and they have to have something to eat after dinner.
Absolutely. And you know what? I used to not be a cake person, and now I enjoy a piece of cake at the end of the meal or at a wedding. I look for it. I want to see what flavors they picked. Like, I'm interested in it. So,
you're our people.
People, don't skip on the cake, please. Let them eat cake. All right, but for people that are budgeting and they need cost-saving strategies, what are your best tips for couples who want a beautiful, show-stopping cake but are on a tight budget?
Go buttercream and go simple. Go, we have cakes on our website that we call them the design your own cakes. And something like that you can't do for a wedding, for a large wedding, but you can do one of those styles, like the textured buttercream where it's, looks like there's like lines across the buttercream. It's classic. It's beautiful. You can throw fresh flowers on it, and it's going to be priced a lot lower than something that is going to take us all afternoon to design.
Are groom's cakes still a thing?
We don't do a ton of them anymore. We've seen they had their moment. They definitely did. It was the golf cart cakes and the liquor bottle and that sort of thing. We see a lot of it with not at the wedding so much anymore, but at the rehearsal dinner, because again, you have to give people, something at the end of their meal. So if it's not, if your dessert is not included with your rehearsal dinner, people will do the groom's cakes that way.
How far in advance do you recommend couples book their cake? And do last-minute orderings affect the price?
For us, no. I mean, if I can squeeze in a last-minute order, I definitely will. We've had our share of, sob stories where, my baker fell off or whatever it is. And I feel terrible because it's your wedding. So, I'll squeeze in whatever I can. And we don't charge any differently. If we can squeeze it in, we'll do it.
See, this is why I love
I feel like I should, but yeah, I mean, I say for a wedding, 6 months is a great timeline to book it. I mean, if you know that you want to go with a bakery, put a deposit down and then worry about it later. But if you're booking more than 6 months out, odds are you don't know what flavors you want. You don't know what design you want. You're kind of, just price shopping at that point.
Right.
So.
Did you ever have a cake catastrophe? Like now I'm thinking about you 5'2" stacking those cakes on site at a wedding.
So I have not had a cake catastrophe, but a very I was waiting for it to happen. We delivered a 5-tiered wedding cake on a boat in Hoboken.
Oh, God.
And just all of those things already sound ridiculous. On a boat is the problem as it is. But when we got there, it was July, and when we got there was no AC on the boat. They didn't have it on yet.
Cake's worst nightmare.
Right. So now I'm stacking a buttercream cake, which is terrible to begin with, like working with buttercream that has already traveled. Typically, if we're stacking something on site, it's got to be fondant because it's just easier to handle.
Yeah.
But, the bride wanted buttercream, so we did buttercream. And stacking it on site. And I was just like, I can't leave this cake here. Like, we had everybody, that was working in the venue, like in the boat, getting fans to put on it. They were like, we can't turn the AC on yet. And I was just like, I waited until the last second where I had to actually leave. And I was like, please, God, saying my prayers. Like, do not call me. Do not let me find out that this fell over.
That it slipped because it melted.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's butter. It's butter and sugar. Like, I don't know what else to say. It needs to be cool.
Oh, my gosh. That's crazy. All right, let's leave it there. Yeah. Arlene, thank you so much for your time. You gave us tips and tricks for planning weddings, and that's great. I'll talk to you soon, Arlene. Thanks. Have a great weekend.
Thank you for having me. You too.
Okay, that brings us to our ingredient of the week. Since this week's show is all about weddings, it only felt right to spotlight an ingredient that has symbolized love and celebration for centuries. So this week's ingredient of the week is the rose petal. Fragrant, celebratory, symbolic, and perfect for tying love and food together in the most delicious way. We usually think of rose petals scattered down an aisle or tossed at newlyweds, but in the culinary world, they're just as magical. Rose petals add a soft floral aroma that's elegant without being overpowering, the kind of flavor that instantly makes a dish feel special, intentional, and a little dreamy. You can steep them into syrups for cocktails, fold them into whipped cream or custards, sprinkle them over delicate pastries, or blend them into teas and infused honeys. They bring this beautiful, perfumed-kissed essence that turns even simple dishes into something worthy of a wedding table. Around the world, roses are used in wedding traditions, from Persian rosewater desserts to Indian mithai to Middle Eastern pastries filled with rose-scented syrups. It's a flavor that's romantic, timeless, and meaningful. The edible version of a love story. And that wraps up tonight's episode of Culinary Confidential. This show and every show is produced in association with my dear friend, Luchese Ferrara. A huge thank you to our guests for sharing their insights, their creativity, and all the inspiration heading into the 2026 wedding season. If you loved tonight's conversation, be sure to join us next week when we kick off a brand new topic, Dry January. We'll be diving into the best zero-proof spirits, mocktail trends, and how to make alcohol-free living feel exciting, flavorful, and fun, and the health benefits associated with omitting alcohol from the body. You won't want to miss it. Until then, thanks for listening, stay curious, and I'll see you next week on Culinary Confidential, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on AM 970 The Answer. Have a great night.
The preceding program is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.